everybody, it's that time again. It's time for Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. My name is Deborah, and I'm coming to you from here on my family farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks, where I like to do all the crafts. I knit, I crochet, I sew, I quilt, I make baskets, I make jewelry, I do needlework. I'll try any craft once and twice if I like it. I am also a university professor at a local regional university where I teach courses to physics majors. I teach courses to pre-med and pre-T and pre-farm majors, and I'm also a docent at our planetarium where I volunteer doing planetarium shows for school groups and public groups and things of that nature. And I'm also heavily involved with our Center for Excellence in Teaching and Academic Leadership, and I volunteer for several of their programs as well. Last but not least, I am a farmer. I'm a third generation plus family farmer here on 170 acres that my family has lived on for over a century. I raise grass-fed beef cattle. I have raised horses. I have a retirement herd of miniature horses and miniature donkeys and a miniature mule named Pumpkin who thinks she rules the roost. I have heritage poultry. I have show quality rabbits. And there's Princess Penny, the potbelly pig, the protector of the poultry. And as you can tell from my somewhat drowsy little co-host Willie here, I am fur kid mom to several dogs and cats, and there is also an outside clouder of barn cats. So if any of all of that sounds interesting to you, I hope you'll come along and join me on Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. Okay, if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry and on TikTok as Doc Firewoman. I don't do a lot on TikTok. I just watch a few people. I try not to get sucked down that rabbit hole all that frequently because it don't ever go nowhere good. I am also, there is also a Facebook group for the podcast, Diary of a Physicist Farmgal podcast, that you can join. There is a Ravelry group, but it's not particularly active right now because I'm doing most things through Instagram. And also there is a Facebook page for my farm, Buckthorn Farms, that you can go and follow there. I am on Twitter as Doc Firewoman, but I am a left-leaning, becoming increasingly more outspoken liberal Democrat, and some people don't like that. I suspect if you don't like that, you're probably not here anymore. But at any rate, if you follow me on Twitter, when I do get on there, I share, my views. And so, although I'm starting to do that more and more places here too. So, but anyway, yeah, so those are the places you can find me. Willie, you're going to have to hop down for just a second, okay? I know. Oh, I know. Don't be ugly. Wally is in here, and he's not pleased about having to share his space. Willie, you are jealous. Shirley, your boy's being awful this morning. Okay, so last time I had a couple of giveaways, and so the first one that I had was these two patterns that were kindly donated by Ashley. There was Ghost and Cupid were the key words, and 3 people each indicated that they were interested in winning these. So this one goes to Kirsty from Grenade Creations. Yay! So, yay, Kirsty. They won this one, and I will be getting that in the mail. And then the one for Cupid, Tyra wins this one. So, yay! I'll be getting those in the mail. I do need to mail several things. I have these. I also did a drawing on my birthday, and Karen Cowgill, who is my birthday twin, won this ink circles patterns. It was also donated by Ashley, so I've got to get those in the mail. And then Rachel Wright, I'm going to mail your crochet leaflets too. I've got to go into town next week and do some things, so I'm planning on putting all these in the mail when I go. Now, this time's giveaway will be for a knitting pattern. So if you use Ravelry, I will give it to you through Ravelry. If you do not, this person has, I believe, a PayHip account where I can send it to you. This is in prelude to a knit along that we're going to do in the month of August. I am going to be sort of hosting it, and we're going to call it Autonomy August. So Autonomy August, and this is for the Autonomy pattern by Romy Hill, or Designs by Romy. This pattern, it was designed inspired by the green bandanas that the women in Argentina who were marching for women's reproductive choice rights were wearing. And most of the proceeds of this pattern, I think $5 of the $6 that it cost, is being donated to various reproductive freedoms, to various groups that are for reproductive freedom. So I am giving away 2 copies of this pattern, okay? 2 copies of this pattern. The keyword will be autonomy. All right, so this is a knitting pattern. It is not terribly hard. It is DK weight, and it only takes about 110 yards of yarn. And the fingering, if you do it in fingering weight, it's about 150 yards. If you go to the pattern page, she has a list of yarn dyers who are participating as well. Now, I haven't bought yarn in a while because I have so much I wanted to use it up, but to support this effort, Cesium Yarn is dyeing this color green, okay? And this color is called Established 1973. And $15 of every skein sold goes to Abortion Access New Haven, I believe. Let's see, it's on here. New Ribbon Abortion Access Fund. I am firmly pro-choice. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone because, you know, your decisions on what to do about your desire to have children is up to you. Not my business. Not my business. And we can argue about this till we're blue in the face, and you're not going to change my mind, and I'm probably not going to change your mind if you're going to argue with me about it, but I am firmly pro-choice. I make no apologies for that. So I wanted to support this. I have already given away several copies of this pattern, but if you would like to win the autonomy pattern, the keyword is autonomy, and we're going to have an Autonomy August knit along starting August 1st, and I am going to probably host a cast on for it on July 31st, which I believe is the Sunday before the 1st. So Sunday, July 31st, we will be casting on the Autonomy Cowl on my Zoom group. So keep an eye out for details for that on Instagram. So Autonomy is the pattern by Romy Hill. There's different options, I think, for how you want to knit the lace pattern, or how, you know, if you want to make it shorter or longer, you could probably easily increase the size of it. But it is a cowl, it's a quick knit, so I encourage you if you want to participate in that. I won't be giving away the pattern before the 1st probably, but if you would like to participate, you could at least start maybe the 2nd week of August. So okay, all right, actually I might draw on the 31st. If you come in the Zoom group, I might draw on the 31st and go ahead and give away the pattern. So autonomy. All right, Autonomy August. Michelle from the Bendy Stitchy podcast is going to do this with me, and some other people, so hopefully we'll get a lot of people participating. Okay, so that was a long ramble. I apologize for that. I do have one more thing to give away. This is for our gardeners out there. Southern Exposure Seed Exchange worked with the Black Farmers Alliance in Maryland to develop some sorghum seeds. This is Della sorghum. It's a bicolored sorghum, and it is a cooperative effort between this group and Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, and they are donating all proceeds from these seeds to the Ujamaa Cooperative Farming Alliance, helping raise funds to donate seeds to farmers there. So for every packet of these bought, all $5 that you spend on the packet of sorghum seeds goes to that effort. So I bought 2 packets. I bought one for me, and I bought one for anyone who's interested in growing it. It is sorghum, so it does get a little bit tall. You won't be able to plant it this year, but it should still be good for next year. It has a very high germination rate. It's 96% germination rate. So it's sorghum is a grain, but you can also use it decoratively if you want to. It gets pretty tall. It's not huge, but it gets about the size of corn. Okay, so if you want to win this packet of seeds, just put Della, D-E-L-L-A. Della is your keyword there. So I don't know how many gardeners I know Nancy's a gardener, but I don't know if she'd want to grow this or not, because she might put it in her community garden spot. But if you're interested in winning the Della sorghum seeds, put Della. So those are my 2 giveaways for this time. So we're going to move on now and talk about finished objects. Okay, so I have some finished objects. The first one that I will show you is I went to a basket making class. I am back to doing basket classes at the state park, and we are still doing them outside. You saw my rolling pin basket that I made. Well, this is a gift basket. I had already made one of these. You can see its twin here. But I had already made one of these, but I wanted to do the class just because I felt like I wanted to get out and be among people. So this is a little simple gift basket kit. You can get this kit, I believe, from Joanna's Collections. It is a wire bailed basket with a stranded bottom and then a stop-start weave on the sides. So this would be really cute, I think, if you got dyed reed and did a striped effect. Or this one I actually dyed with pokeberry juice, so you'll see it's a little bit darker than its companion here. So I don't know if I'm going to dye this one or stain it. I might stain this one, get a little pot of, see if I've still got a little bit of stain underneath in the garage out there, and stain this one, because I think they look really pretty when they're stained like that. And that one's going in the fair, because guess what? It's getting to time to start thinking about what's going in the fair. I know y'all have missed hearing me talk about that. Okay, my next project, I actually made this twice. This was out of the Interweave Crochet Fall 2019 magazine. This is also available on Ravelry. The pattern is the Coriander Puff hat. And I have torn the page it was on, apparently. I don't know. I did not do it in a fit of rage. I think Simon helped me with that. But it's the Coriander Puff hat. I'll just take the torn piece out. It is available on Ravelry if you want to do that. It is a quick crochet hat. Now, the first time I made it, I did not, well, their instructions were not clear to me. I'm not going to say they were not clear, but they were not clear to me, so I did not start it out correctly. And I ended up ripping it out and getting frustrated, so I made it too small. Okay, so this is more like a beanie on me. So I'm actually going to wash and block this and give it to my friend Carol for her granddaughter. It's too big for her probably right now, but she'll grow into it. So this is in Miss Babs Yowza Purple People Eater, but I do like the texture. You can see there the puffs, except I did them wrong on this one. So I remade it, and I made one that was the right size for me. So you can see the puff texture better there because I actually made them correctly. My little panda narwhal is from Charmed and Dangerous. This is also in the Yowza. And I used up almost all of the skein. I did make this a little bit, I did one more repeat of the pattern, I think, than it called for, because I wanted it to be a little slouchier on my head. In the picture, it looks slouchier, but if you make it to the pattern, it is not. So I decided to add one more round. So I need to wash and block this and weave in the ends. But that is the Coriander Puff hat from Interweave Crochet, 2x2. Then I finished my CJ Brady shawl. This is, oh gosh, I forgot to look up which one this was. I'll put it down here. I'll go look it up and put it down here. This is a CJ Brady shawl. This is, oh, Where Sky Meets Sea. Where Sky Meets Sea is the name of this one, all right? And this is a crocheted shawl. This yarn is Radioactive by Into the World, okay? And it is, these are shawlettes that are very easy to make a little bit longer. I actually added a few more repeats on this to make it slightly longer because I wanted it to be a little bit more hangy downy. Is that a technical term, hangy downy? Okay, so, because I'm a bigger person and I like a bigger shawlette. So, yeah, so, but I do love, as y'all know, CJ Brady's patterns. They can do no wrong in my book in terms of their patterns because they're very easy to memorize and they're very potato chippy and they're knit side to side. So you start at one end, you increase, and then you decrease, so it's very easy to make them longer. And I will tell you, I have never used up a complete fingering skein of yarn on one of their shawls. So you always have some left, and I even had some left despite making this one about 4 repeats longer. So do not fret if you want to make it longer. You will have sufficient yarn to do it, I promise. So anyway, so yeah, this is where Sky Meets Sea by C.J. Brady, and that is finished. I have washed it and blocked it. Blocking really makes them sing because it opens up the texture, and then I need to weave in the ends on this one as well and go over it with a lint roller because it's got cat hair on it. So that is all of my finished objects for this time. So now we're going to move on and talk about works in progress. I'm just examining how much dog and cat hair is on all this stuff, and it's kind of disheartening, actually. But anyway, so my first thing that I'll show is and Lydia's Mandala Doily. This is a free pattern from Yarnspirations, which is the Red Heart website. This is a thread crochet doily, and I decided to do a rainbow. Okay, so I'm halfway through the pattern, and so I decided to do a rainbow. So I gathered up all the right colors to have the rainbow Roy G. Biv, except I'm going backwards, so I started with the purple or the violet. And I'm working out, and then I'm going to start again and go on out with the purple again. So, yeah, so I've only worked on that one day. This is one day's progress on this, so I could sit down and finish that pretty easily this weekend, I think, if I wanted to. But this is very reminiscent of the stitches that were used in my blanket that I finished for last time. Again, this is a free pattern from Yarnspirations, and I'm just using Aunt Lydia's thread. So good old Aunt Lydia, we knew her well. Okay, then while I was at Mystic South, my primary project that I worked on is the Cumulus Cowl, which is a pattern by Knitting Expat. And it has one of the textures from the Changes shawl in it. It has the wrap texture that you can see there. I am on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on my 5th repeat of 10. And I'll probably do more than that because I want to use up most of this yarn. This is fingering weight held double or DK, depending on how you want to do it. So I am using 2 colors of yarn from Nerd Girl Yarns, who is sadly no longer dyeing yarn. But this is Back from Earth, and this is Abnegation. And this was their Swanky base, which is cashmere and merino. So it's very soft. But, so yeah, I'm about halfway through that one. That's what I worked on while I was at Mystic South. And that is in a April 9 Designs bag that I got from Charlotte on Etsy. And they always give you a sweet little progress keeper that goes with the theme of the bag there. Also in an April 9 Designs bag, I worked for a little while on my bear sweater. This is the Unbearable Hoodie by Max Sear, but I did not doing a hoodie. I just cast on a regular neck, and I am working on the color work chart. I sat and visited with Maria from Daughters of the Red Sunset. Used to be Ninja Chickens, but they have rebranded, and so you can easily see my little bears now. I've got past their noses, and you can see their wearing their little toques there. So yeah, and my floats don't look terrible. They're not terrible. This is being knit in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about that. So I am working on that, trying to get some progress on that next month. And Jessica from Two Sticks and String, her color this month is purple and next month is gray. So that works out well for that because it has both of those colors in it. Then, in another of one of Charlotte's bags, I finished the sleeve on my Easy Raglan sweater from Green Mountain Spinnery. So, we have one sleeve down. Okay, and this fits really well. I'm extremely pleased with the fit on this. So, I chose to do the cabled version. It's really a mock cable, but the mock cable version of the sweater, I made it a crop, but I made a full-length sleeve. And so now I get to do the other sleeve. I need to pick up for that and get it done this next month. So if I want to, I can put this in the fair. So yeah, very pleased with how this is looking. Very pleased with the fit of the sleeve. So I'm done with that. This is also Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. I find Wool of the Andes to no, don't get in that. Get out. No, no, no. Oh, I know I offended you. I'm so sorry. He was laying in the box with my doily thread, and that wasn't going to go anywhere good. No, no, you don't need that. So this is also in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. I find it to be good value for money, especially for me, since I need a lot of yarn to make a sweater. Okay, I'm going to have to pause and come back because I'm going to have to move this box. Okay, we compromised and I gave him my seat cushion to lay on, but he is out of my box. So, all right, then this week while I was doing the UCA Challenge Camp, which is I talk a little bit about that in the science segment, so I won't go into that here. In a bag that Maria from Colorado sent me one year when we did a swap, and she did mine all science themed, I am making the Irish-ish lace cowl. This is from Crochet Corner by Brenda KB Anderson, and I believe this was a free pattern for a period of time. It looks like that. It's got some little crocheted flowers on it. And for some reason, I felt like I was looking through my yarn for something else, and I happened upon this skein that I think Shirley sent me this. It is a long striped sport weight yarn, and I thought, I'll make that cowl out of that. It reminds me of sherbet. So I am just working on the body of the cowl, so to speak here, but I think that's going to make a perfectly good looking cowl there. So that's as far as I got because UCA Challenge kept me hopping, I'm not going to lie. But I think this is a free pattern, so I think that you can go online and find this without any difficulty to get. So it's the Creative Crochet Corner, and by Brenda KB Anderson. It is the Irish-ish lace cowl. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. That is all of my works in progress. Oh no, I'm lying. I have a cross stitch work in progress. I know some of y'all came here from the Bendy Stitchy podcast or the Neat and Knot by the Sea and haven't seen a lick of cross stitch, but that's because I was working on women's rights or human rights, and after everything that has happened, I don't feel like working on that right now. But after Mystic South, I decided I would pick up my runes cross stitch again. Unfortunately, there is no cover page to this for me to be able to show you. It's just the pattern, but I got this off of Etsy. It is a runes cross stitch with, I'll just quickly flash it up there, with the Yggdrasil Tree of Life in the center. So I am currently working on my runes, and I rotated the pattern so that this is the top. On the pattern that they gave me, this is Fehu. This is the first letter of the runic alphabet, so to speak, and so I wanted that at the top, and so I just rotated the pattern. And so I'm going around doing the runes and then bringing around the border, and then I'll do the tree last in the middle. This is being cross-stitched on, this is 32 count linen, which was a Fabric of the Month club from Fortnite Fabrics last year. The colorway is called Agnes, and it's got it's like tea dyed almost. It's got some faint tea dyeing. And then this is Gentle Arts floss in the colorway called Mountain Mist, and I'm doing it monochromatically. So what I want to do with this, you can it's going to be about the size of this hoop. What I want to do with this is finish it and put it on the top of like a flat, large box to store my rune sets and things like that in. So I think that'll be pretty. But anyway, so I'm working on that. And so that is my cross stitch. I've got that in a Skinny Laminx bag that my friend June, so Magic Junie Sews on Instagram. But yeah, so I am cross stitching again, yay, and it's been going really well. I've actually added, the last time when I stopped on it, I had stopped, I think I had stopped here so that's Gibo Wunyo. I had stopped at Wunyo, and so I've done these ones. So Hagalaz, Nothies, Isa, Era, Ewaz, and then this is Perthrow. So this is the one. So I'm doing about 3 a day. So I did these 3, and then I did these 3, and I brought the circle around to match up as I'm kind of bringing it around. Like I'll finish, when I get finished with my 3 runes, whatever thread I've got left, I'll bring around the circle. So yeah, so we're cross stitching again, yay. So okay, I find that cross stitch, I have to be in the right mindset or I make mistakes, and I don't want to make mistakes because it's hard to pick out, especially on linen for me. But anyway, so we're going to move on now. I don't really have any future crafting, so I'll move on and do a brief acquisitions segment. Okay, so for acquisitions, I cannot for the life of me find my Bird Crush Club, and I'm not going to spend time stressing on that because I don't want this to get too long. I know that my podcasts are longish, and I would say that I apologize, but I don't really. But they're not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. But at any rate, so I want to talk about a couple of things that I got. I went ahead and ordered from Top Notch Stitcher Shop the next 2 installments of the Year in the Woods club. So this is July and this is August, I believe, is the way that goes. Yeah. So July and August. And eventually I'll make these. I think like I said, I think what I want to do is I want to make the these into smalls and like make ornaments out of them. So if I did it on 40 count, I'm assuming this is over 2. It's 5 by 6.5. So that would make a decent sized little pillow ornament to put on something. Okay, what is going on with my light? Anyway, so that, and then I don't remember if I had showed this Fortnite Fabrics Fabric of the Month from this was actually May. They had some trouble getting stuff out. This is called Mystic Mountain. It's this beautiful sort of creamsicle-y orange with the opal. And then this is June's fabric, and this is the Tarantula Nebula. So this is the Cosmic Club that has, it's all based upon pictures from of nebula and stuff from space. Then Vanessa sent me a very sweet birthday package. And I'm not going to show you everything that was in it, but I will show you these things. First of all, I had sent her some ornament kits that my mother had, and so she stitched this up for me and sent it back so I could have it to put on my tree. This is one of the ornament kits that she had gotten from me. So that'll proudly go on my tree. Then she also sent me these beautiful, this is a mini rainbow sock set, and it is 480 yards total. And I think that's a beautiful rainbow fade set. That is definitely going to be some kind of shawl because I want that to be seen. And y'all know I'm not a huge sock knitter. So that's going to be that. Then Nancy sweetly sent me some gardening seeds, which I won't show you those. But she also sent me this great hand-pieced pincushion. So look at that. It's got a little cat in the center. And she hand-pieced these out of paper piecing hexies and did them in rainbow colors because she knows I love that. All right. So I got that and then some great garden seeds. Then I bought a couple of books. Maria from Daughters of the Red Sunset recommended both of these books to me. I'm getting more interested in using what's on my land. So this is actually a textbook. This is an Elsevier textbook. And it is sciencey AF, and I love it. So she actually helped review this textbook, and then this is another book that she recommended. Now, as I've said in the past, I am a big believer in science, and, you know, I'm not going to stop taking my blood pressure medicine, but I also think there's a lot of things out here that I could use as well, and in order to honor this land fully, I think I need to make use of what it has to offer me and be respectful of that. So I'm going to learn some about that. Then last but not least, I didn't show these last time. I was gifted this marker set from the people at the Center for Teaching Excellence and Center for Excellence in Teaching and Academic Leadership, because I helped set up the event space and everything. They certainly did not have to do this, but these are some journaling or scrapbooking markers, and they know I like stuff like that, so they were sweet to give me that set. Okay, so that is all the acquisitions that I will share with you. So I recorded the science segment in the planetarium this time, so we'll do that. Well, it is Science Sprinkles time, and I am, as you can tell, back in the planetarium. I have been doing the UCA Challenge Camp this week, and I've had 68 to 12-year-olds, and for the most part, they've been really great. I have had to learn to exercise some patience with one young man. I know him from Super Science Saturday, so I know that without his parents having disclosed it on his registration form, that he is neurodivergent and he has impulse control issues. And so I've had to remind myself that when he says things, it is not out of a place of malice. Although he did say something very homophobic the other day, and I had to say that's not correct, because there were other students listening, and I noticed a couple of the students, one of them had the non-binary flag painted on their arm and had non-binary nail polish, and they were looking a little green when he had said this. And so I said, that's actually not correct. That's incorrect. I said, just because you don't agree with someone's life does not mean that it is evil or bad. I spoke to the director, and she actually knows the family, and she said, I don't know where he got that from. His family does not talk like that. So he's heard it somewhere, obviously, but I don't know where. But I said something, and hopefully, you know, even if it didn't make an impact on him, I know hopefully it helped the students that were listening, because 2 or 3 of them came up to me quietly afterwards and said, I don't agree with what he says. And I said, well, I don't either. And I said, that's his opinion, but it's not correct, and don't be worried about it. You know, I tried to be gentle in my correction of him, because I don't want to shut off that avenue of discussion, but also I could not let that comment just hang in the air there without dealing with it. But at any rate, so I'm in the planetarium. We're talking about solar eclipses today, and we're going to make pinhole cameras. But what I thought I would do is talk briefly about these amazing images from the James Webb Space Telescope. The James Webb is mostly an infrared telescope. That means that it gathers light in a wavelength of light that our eyes can't see. So the images that you're seeing are what are called false color images. They are images that are given color to represent different intensities of signal, just like you might see on a weather radar. But primarily the James Webb works in the infrared, and the reason for that is infrared actually has a lot more information it can get to the telescope, because it can pass through dust. So any dust clouds or anything like that, or any dusty regions in a nebula, it can cut right through those, and we can see in more detail these objects. So the James Webb is actually larger than the Hubble in terms of the diameter of its mirror. It's over double the diameter of the Hubble. So when you increase the diameter, 2 things happen. Telescopes are basically light buckets, and so you have a bigger round bucket, so a larger surface area bucket, you can capture more light, just like you could capture more rain in a larger mouth bucket. The other thing that happens is, because of the diameter, you improve something called the resolution of the telescope, where resolution is, if you imagine watching a plane fly by very high, it looks like just one blinking light, but we know that's not correct. As it gets closer, our eye is able to distinguish the details of the multiple lights on the plane. So in space, what that does is that allows us to see further out and still see objects that are close together and distinguish them as individual objects, or make out fine detail in objects that we weren't previously able to see. So that's the advantage, a couple of the advantages that the Webb has. So these images that we're seeing, the first image that we released was a deep field. And what that means is it's like taking a long exposure photograph in a dim room, except in this case, the dimness comes from the vast distance to these objects or the small size of these objects. So the deep field is a long exposure, allowing us to see dimmer objects with ease. And that picture, and I'll try to find it and put it in here, that picture, pretty much every speckle of light that doesn't have the diffraction points on it is a galaxy. Now the stars have diffraction points because of the way the telescope picks up starlight versus galaxies. Galaxies are extended sources and stars are point sources to the telescope. So the diffraction points is a point source, which are the spike looking things. There's 4 big ones or 6 big ones and 2 small ones, I think is the way it works on the web. Then there were some other pictures. There was a photograph of the Carina Nebula, which is a star-forming region. There's a photograph of a planetary nebula, which is at the end of a sun-like star, sun-sized star, gently, well, I say gently compared to a supernova ejecting its outer layers. And then Stephan's Quintet, which is a galactic group that's all gravitationally bound and are probably eventually going to merge together over time. So those images are amazing because between the improved viewing of the telescope and the fact that we're looking in the infrared, we're able to see a lot more detail in those objects. So I'm very excited with what is going to come from the web. I watched the live reveal of the second group of images, and it just makes me tear up almost thinking about it. So, you know, we are by nature explorers and discoverers, and I think sometimes we forget that in our, you know, in our world, where we forget that human beings by nature are curious, and we want to know what's over the next hill and around the next bend. And I think that we are better as a species when we are curious. And, you know, to argue with the people who say, well, what practical value does this have? Directly, none, honestly. But indirectly, there's so much new technology that gets developed for these telescopes that then translates into other areas. You know, you can look at the history of space exploration and look at all of the technological advances it's given you and me in our lives. So I think that it's a perfectly wonderful pursuit and valid, and you know, I hope we continue to be curious as a species, because that's how we grow and evolve and mature. So anyway, so I am going to get my planetarium show set up here, and we'll move on now and talk about farm life. Okay, so farm life, I can sum it up in one word: hot. Oh, well, 2 words: dry. Hot, dry. It stopped raining June the 11th, and it did not rain again here until it rained Sunday night, July 17th. And we got 1.5 inches of rain, and I was so happy I was crying because we were burned up. The temperature shot up where we were having highs in the upper 90s and hundreds, like dangerously high highs, 110, 108. Very dry, just terrible, terrible. I'm sure my water bill is going to be atrocious, trying to keep everything alive, because of course it's the year I did my biggest garden. But we did get a little bit of rain this past Sunday night. We got 1.5 inches, and then we got another little sort of fluky 1/10 of an inch like 2 days later. So I've just now had to start watering my garden again. That's been since the weekend. So it's been 7 days almost since I've had to water my garden. Things stop producing when it gets too hot, so there's not a lot going on in the garden right now. I am finishing up. I'm making some tikka masala sauce. I'm gonna can that up this afternoon, I think. And then I'm making some hot pepper sauce out of some hot peppers. But right now, things are kind of in a lull in the garden because it is just so hot. Most of your plants stop producing when it gets super hot and dry. It's kind of as a safety mechanism for themselves. It's a survival mechanism. So, but the little cooler, when I say cooler, it was 95. snap that we had, things started blooming again. And it looks like, knock on wood, next weekend, we're going to get a break. It's going to rain several days and it's going to cool off. So I'm starting to clean out, like my Roma tomatoes are pretty well finished. So I'm pulling those up and I'm going to replant those beds. I'm going to plant some garlic in one of the beds for next spring. And then I'm going to replant some beans because they should have plenty of time to produce before frost if I plant them now. But you know, things are doing, for the most part, doing well. You know, I'm struggling to keep things that I've transplanted alive. My rooting experiment is not going well. I'm used rooting hormone and I'm still not getting much luck. So I'm going to try one more time and I've read a couple of things online to try some different stuff. So I'm going to try one more time on that. I've got cattle going to the beef processor next week. That'll be my last round. And then I'm going to sell everything beef bull wise that is over a year old, because with this bad spate of no rain, we are going to be struggling for hay this year. Plus, if they get too big, they're not as good for the beef. And they get dangerous. They get dangerous for me to load them. So I talked it over with some friends of mine, and I'm pretty well going to clear them out. And because I work them by myself, so I can't have ones that are dangerous to me in there. So right now I'm just trying to keep everybody alive. Rabbits don't like the heat at all, so I've been keeping ice bottles in their cages. So I have 2 sets. I put one set in the freezer, I take the other set out, put out there, and then I rotate them. But it's bad. It's hot. Right now, the birds and everybody are doing okay. The horses and the cattle seem to be doing okay. The little bit of rain kind of perked the fields up a little bit. I was noticing Chips's leg. I'm going to have to do some more work on it because it was healing up and now it's broken open again. So I'm going to have to go back and work on that some more, I think. It will never be right after what happened. And I know that what happened is my neighbors cut the guy wire cable on one of their utility poles and threw it over in there, and he got tangled up in it. I can tell by looking at the wound. That's what it is. Can't prove that, but I found the cable with hair on it in the pasture. So, you know, my ability to do calculus lets me add 2 plus 2. But at any rate, so yeah, that's pretty much what's going on the farm. I could ramble on longer, but I won't because there's not a lot to say. It's just hot and it's dry. I've got my list of things that I want to try to plant for next year. I'm starting to add that to the list. I'm saving seeds out of things, trying to learn from this year what worked, what didn't, and do better next year. I'm going to build more raised beds too. I know that. So less lawn, more food. That's my philosophy. So anyway, that's all I'll say about the farm. And so now we'll move on to our final thoughts. Okay, so I've read this on the podcast before, but it seemed like the time to read it again. I found this book at the thrift store, and it was put out by Amnesty International, and it's My Little Book of Big Freedoms. And this was inspired by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in December of 1948 after the experience of the world with World War II and seeing everything that happened to people. World leaders decided to create a document that would guarantee rights of every individual everywhere, and Eleanor Roosevelt, who was the widow of FDR, chaired the committee that created the document. So that was what this book inspired. And so what I thought I would do, it seems like a time to share this again. Okay, we all have the right to live. Nobody has the right to hurt or torture us. Nobody has the right to make us a slave. We cannot make anyone else a slave or force them to work for us. You can read between the lines on all these as much as you would like, because that's what I do when I read it. No one else has the right to imprison us without a good reason. They have to tell us that reason and let us say why we should not and why we should be set free. If we are put on trial, we must be treated fairly. Nobody can blame us for doing something bad until it is proved. The people who try us must not let anyone else tell them what to do. You cannot be punished for doing something wrong if there was no law against it when you did it. We have the right to live with our family and live our lives in the way we choose. The government must respect our privacy. The government must respect our privacy. We all have the right to think or believe in what we like, to have religion, and to show it. Whatever we like. Not you get to decide for me. Again, read between the lines here. We all have the right to the information we need to make up our own minds. We have the right to say what we think and to share ideas with other people. We all have the right to spend time with other people, to get together, and to look after one another. Every grown-up has the right to marry and to have a family if they want to. Every grown-up. Doesn't say how. We all have the same rights. No one can take them away from us or give us different ones because of who we are or because we are different from them. Everybody has the right to own and share things. Nobody should take our things away without a good reason. We all have the right to learn. We all have the right to take part in running our country. Every grown-up should be allowed to say who they want to be their leader. No one is allowed to end our lives, even if we did something very bad. The Universal Declaration for Human Rights. So, don't have a lot of commentary to add to that, except I think there are some people that need to read this. Anyway, so I hope you're all doing well. I hope that you are taking care of yourself. If it's hot where you are, I hope that you're staying cool. If it's cool where you are, I hope that you are staying warm. Please take care of yourselves. Cold and flu season is coming and COVID is not gone away. So I hope that you are taking good care of yourself. But until I see y'all again, be good to each other and take care of each other. And Willie, you gonna come tell him bye? Come here. Willie. Willie. No. He said no. He is on the cushion back there on the floor. So until we see y'all again, bye y'all. Peace out.